just make $1 today. Smoking with the homies, trying to find me a way. Daddy never working, so I'm hustling and wait. Fuck with the flour like baking the cake. Hey, these are the stigmas of a nigga.
First and foremost, we pray for you, child. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but I like that energy. But I don't.
You like, but you don't. You know, respect.
It's like, nah, let's just pray for the season 4. You know, the vibes are keep the vibes friendly.
Your jokes, man.
Not a serious, man.
I'm serious. Keep the vibes friendly. I got my crystal in my hand. The sage is lit.
You should have gave me both so I could put it in both hands. Both hands.
Niggas ain't think about me,
Oh, wow, bro.
No disrespect.
Give me
No disrespect.
No respect for
I
you.
guess it's thought that counts.
Yeah, no disrespect.
Sometimes that road should get you there, though.
Nah, that's a fact. Little clip do get you there.
So let's just have a good season 4, guys. Hazy basement. Just keep it green. No more tardiness.
The shade. Where's the camera, buddy?
You got extra mic?
Yeah, this joint right here.
You get your piece off, bro. You know.
Get my piece. What do you say?
Get your piece off.
Get your piece off.
Y'all say pause or something?
Yeah,
Get your piece off.
Nah, this is a very fluid situation we got here.
I just stand it like you just talk, like young guy.
Yeah, we got you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That jump pick up.
I got you.
He said, I got you. All right, season 4. All right, so this is my thing before we start this new season or a season. I feel as though we had games and we went away from games.
Mm-hmm. We gotta keep it going this year.
Yeah, maybe, but I feel like there's something else we could do.
Okay.
So I feel like every time we start off, you have to start off with the most randomest of questions or thoughts or theories.
I was gonna ask you randomly. I have one.
Okay.
He's prepared.
It was just random because I was like, this how I'm gonna start off the episode. But yeah, but continue.
Okay, so I
cut you off.
Respect, I like it. Friendly.
The shots are firing, cuz. Hey, get down.
As the do you really? I think I'd love to see it. As the podcast goes on, I think
Podcast goes on, dog.
you know where I got that from? As the world keeps moving. Is that the name of the show?
As the world turns.
As the world turns. Sorry. I conflated so many things. I'm sorry,
all right,
guys.
guys.
But the point I made was we need to start everything. And my first thing is whose man's? Your man's.
Didn't put himself on you.
Go ahead,
The first thing that needs to be said is, do you wear socks to bed? To sleep?
You got attacked the other day, so I feel like this is a little personal.
I just feel as though it was me and you against the world.
It was.
And I just want to know, why are we the only ones on the right side of history here?
You gotta let your feet breathe, man.
Buddy, your feet breathe in the shower. Like, wash those things, lap them things up.
I mean, if you got the type of socks that's not letting your feet breathe,
you have bigger issues. Like, that's what I'm saying.
You need to come into this century for one.
Guys,
you know what I'm saying?
A lot of socks even been around.
We got some
Niggas been doing this shit without
bro.
socks for a long time, guys.
I mean, people have been doing a lot of things for a long
The room
time.
is cold though.
The room is cold. I mean, you got.
That's what I'm.
You gotta keep the socks on. The room is
Real
cold.
nigga tea, bro. And
Charles' crib ain't never cold though. I'm not ain't been a nigga crib in Brooklyn, bro. I ain't
Buddy,
been cold in the Charles home.
The socks are always nice and toasty, buddy.
the floor might be cold.
I always
though.
keep my house
I
at
don't
like.
fuck with the floor,
All right,
cold floors.
I always keep it at 70 or
The
above.
bathroom floor be cold. That's the only place you really waking up to walk in the middle of the night. So just like the bathroom
I'm saying,
floor.
how can you walk?
That thing frigid.
How can you walk these floors at night with all types of things out here?
Slide in the crib.
And then go back to
You don't have house shoes.
I'm going to
you're gonna place. So I'm gonna place them in the dark at the perfect position.
It's not that dark, my guy.
It's not that dark, my guy.
What the fuck? Is your bedroom pitch black?
You see
I would hope so. I'm trying to.
Yes.
You gotta grow up, buddy.
I gotta grow up.
You gotta be an
Because I
adult.
don't like going to sleep in dead showers.
Yeah.
I think you're weird, as you as well, for sleeping with socks on. That
No.
shit is constricting.
No, it's
How's that
not good for
constricting? What?
blood
Constricting.
circulation.
How far are your
blood
toes
circulate.
moving?
What?
It's not even about the
tight are
toe.
your
It's not even
socks?
about all. It's about
You wear
how
compression socks?
you wear long socks.
You
If
got
I'm not
diabetes?
correct, no, I don't. You as well wear long socks. Let's see if y'all wearing footies or some shit. Y'all niggas is wearing half calf and down socks. That's constricting.
It's not, buddy.
It's not.
It is.
My elastic is not that tight.
It don't even matter about the elastic at that point. It's just about being confined in a piece of clothing that's your feet.
I'm about to Google this shit while you
That
sleep
shit
with
is-
socks. There gotta be a
So why you guys? All right. Here's
There gotta be some.
That shit doesn't
here's,
feel right.
here's the next point I'm about to make. Thank you for leading me there. We're in the 2020. We're making decisions on our own, and what I mean by that is that I don't care what Google said. I don't care what someone said. What do you know and think to be true?
Yeah, what is your
Almost
individual
all of this
thought?
shit is subjective. Unless you about to tell me some shit that actually has a right or wrong answer, I'm tired of you guys asking me about experts who aren't experts. Stop asking me about who's the greatest basketball player of all time. Who do you think? That is who the I don't care. Stop. No, there's no way to prove it. It's not how you do this.
It's really not.
Stats.
I mean, the
Stats are all subjective.
The first nigga to average a triple
most-
double was Oscar Robinson,
person-
and no one did it since until Russell Westbrook.
The
So
nobody,
it's either-
In that era,
nobody,
that was-
nobody
everybody was
cares
garbage
about
in
the
that
man
era.
who has the most points in NBA history.
Ever.
No one says he's
No
the
one
greatest
talks
player of
about
all
Kareem
time.
Abdul-Jabbar, my nigga.
No,
Because back in the day, they were
yes,
trash.
no one says the guy who scored
They
100
were trash.
points.
They were trash.
No one
They
says
were
the
trash.
exactly. Like this is all subjective. None of this. You cannot prove any of this. This is how you feel. You cannot prove it.
Shout out to Dab though. Dab think Kareem the greatest of all time.
Exactly. That's.
Yeah.
I'm with Dab. He's top. He can be no further down than three in your list.
That's a fact.
If he's further than three in your
The
list,
nigga
then I
had
think your
one
list
move
is
that was
ridiculous.
unstoppable that nobody
He
could
played
stop.
for 20
bruh.
years, longevity.
Like,
Scored
fuck
the most
outta here,
points,
bruh.
most rebounds, 6 NBA
Stayed-
titles,
stayed
4
healthy as shit.
4 NBA Finals MVPs.
How many times did he
4
play
regular
every
season
season,
MVPs.
Charles?
Played in three different eras.
3.
But can we admit the competition back then was whack compared to today's NBA?
Who the competition? Have you watched the Eastern Conference this year? The competition
Niggas
is
are
garbage.
averaging- niggas are
They're
averaging
garbage.
140.
No,
There's the Milwaukee Bucks and everybody else, which Charles said earlier.
Niggas
let's-
are- you
don't
let's
respect
book it.
Boston? You don't
Niggas
respect
are
Boston?
averaging 140 tonight, bruh.
Boston is the 4th seed right now, and they're not even better than the Toronto
Miami
Raptors.
is the second Heat, the second team in the East right now. Miami
Heat
is the
the
second
Heat
team
are
in the
the,
East
are the
right
Heat
now.
are the second seed tied with
Like,
who
what?
are they tied with right now? With the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Everyone thought the Toronto Raptors is bad because they don't have their best player.
And these niggas fucked around and about to be like, bro, we
Everybody
about to be
from,
back in the conference
everybody from
finals.
2 through 6 is separated by 2 games and a half right
Yes.
now.
Y'all, hold on, y'all basing everything on regular season. Wait till the playoff come. It's gonna be a different story.
But the playoff
So
look
how
right
you-
now might not be the
What?
playoff look
No,
come
first
playoff
of all,
time.
how you gonna just disregard the fact that in the NBA more than half of the teams make it? So all these teams are gonna be in there. Like
Yeah.
these teams that we're talking about that are mediocre as fuck. They're just gonna magically just get better because of the playoffs. It's not how any of this works, buddy. Not any of this.
4 or 5
None of
teams
this.
out of each conference don't go to the playoffs.
Teams way choke in the playoff. People choke in the playoff.
Yes,
Teams
because none of these
choke
guys
in
are
the
good.
playoff.
Name
choke in the
the
playoff.
of the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors, Indiana Pacers. They're the Sixers because they got 2 superstars. Name the best players out of those 3 teams and tell me what's going to change in the NBA playoffs.
I think about that.
Probably Jason Tatum.
Kemba Walker might go off a few games. Jimmy Butler is going to have a few good games. Who else are we having this?
Tatum gonna hoop in the playoffs.
Who else we talking about? Oh, the Raptors are going to be a pretty good team because they're a good basketball team.
And they've been there before.
When they play defense.
So the Raptors might surprise a few people. The NBA is not this idea of skill set. People only say that because they're around. Like you think everybody's good in this league because you watch it.
They not gonna stop Giannis.
These niggas ain't better than the niggas in the 80s. The niggas in the 80s ain't better than these niggas. It's just a different type of basketball.
But I ain't like how you disrespect the East like that.
The East is not good.
The 7th seed in the East right now is 3 games under 500. The 7th seed in the West right now is 6 games over 500.
Trash.
The 8th seed right now in the West is 3 games under 500. You know what the 8th seed in the East right now is? 7 games under 500. The conference is strong.
I'm talking about the 7, 8 seed. I'm talking about the top 5. Can't disrespect the top 5 like that.
The top 5 is just a jumbo. Like
It's 2 teams tied for second, my nigga.
I can make the argument that the Clippers should be better, and they're not because their 2 best players just play.
They don't play together. Season.
But they still have.
People are chilling right. We waiting for the playoff. They waiting.
And they still better than the
And that's what I'm saying. They're still better than the East. You're making my point for me. The niggas is chilling. It's still better.
So how come the East is not chilling? You can't see.
Because them niggas is
Boston not
trash.
chilling.
No, they're not.
They're trying to win. Like
They're
these teams are
trying to
trying.
win.
No, come on now. They're trying to win.
They are trying to win.
They're not trying to win.
They are trying to win.
Kimball Walker, the weapons they have 3 All-Stars.
Did you watch them the other night?
3 potential
Last
All-Stars.
night, because I was watching them last night, and they were
have 3
trying to
potential
win.
All-Stars that can make it.
That's cool.
So everybody's chilling right now.
Potential All-Stars.
They gonna get 2.
Potential All-Stars.
No,
I'll give you 2.
Kimba's an All-Star. Jason
Tatum.
Tatum is an All-Star. And Jaylen Brown's an All-Star.
Jaylen Brown is a reserve. Like he might go motherfucking the coach.
They're All-Stars. They're All-Stars.
is not an all. No, he's not an all-star, bro. He a borderline nigga.
He can be an all-star.
He's standing to be an
He a
All-Star.
borderline, but some players you know gonna make the
He used the
all-star.
correct
Like,
words. He said potential All-Star. Like, he used the correct
potential
words.
All-Star, and they're young.
This is not a future. Listen, we're not projecting in the future. We're talking about today.
now.
You just said that the dude in the
Right
80s
now.
weren't good, and I'm saying I can't stand that because I did not.
The
you
80s
know,
Boston team is probably better than the one now.
like exactly. Larry
You
Bird,
tripping, yeah.
Parrish,
Dennis Johnson.
McHale, Dennis Johnson.
Knocking niggas out.
My man.
Them niggas was stupid.
What's my high man that's always on ESPN? Bill Walton off the bench,
bro.
That I take those 80s
Give me
teams.
the hippies.
No.
Give me
I
the
take
hippies.
Magic, Worthy, Kareem, Cooper. I take those boys.
Give me AC Green Virgin days. He hooping,
Over
cuz.
LeBron,
You know what I'm saying?
LeBron, KD.
LeBron and KD have never played on a basketball team together, so
No, I'm talking about.
no, we're talking about teams. I'm talking about actual.
The team.
Nigga, I would take
know
Dr.
historic
J's
teams.
next team versus the next
Probably
team
not.
now.
But what rules we playing about? If we're not playing no 3-pointers,
Moses Malone, cuz.
we're not playing no 3-point line. Who's gonna check Kareem?
Kareem's going to check
Kareem-
KD.
Okay, well then
Dr.
they're
J
both
is checking KD.
No, stop it.
Worthy. I'm gonna put Worthy.
no,
I'm gonna put
KD
Worthy on KD, and I'm
Dr.
gonna
J's
put Worthy on KD, and hope KD only gets for 30. I seen him get 35 on LeBron in the finals. So.
Braxton worthy
Katie
ass
grabbed
too,
that.
but I still I know the 80s niggas though. I ain't.
I hope he goes to 30, not 35.
I'm
No,
not
he
saying-
busts LeBron.
He's busting niggas' asses, bro.
You gotta talk about
Kenny
generational.
busts ass,
I'm
bro.
talking about generational talents from the 80s versus. I'm not talking
Generational talents
listen,
from
from
today.
now. I'm not just talking
Like,
about some
come
like
on,
the
bro.
6 nigga off the bench and being
Fuck
like,
no.
I'm with y'all. I'm just talking about KD.
It's like, oh yeah, I'll take Steve Kerr off the 95, 96 Bulls and put him up. No, nigga, shut
yeah,
up.
like that's not the
I'll
nigga.
smack the
Like,
shit out you.
who-
You want to take Steve Kerr in 2020?
No, fuck the no.
Get him out of here.
No. Remember the meme of the little kid? No.
The fuck is Steve Kerr doing in 2020? Coaching. Exactly. That's what you're gonna be doing, boy. You're gonna graduate and you're gonna become a coach at college.
Remember when JJ
and then
Redick
you
wasn't a
gonna
good
fuck
basketball? Remember when JJ Redick wasn't a good basketball player?
Facts.
He only played defense.
Yeah.
That boy shit was always cash though. That corner 3 was
Not
always.
in like the first 5 seasons out the
No,
NBA.
no,
That shit
no,
was
no,
not
no.
cash. It was making
was
it in
suspect.
NBA. He made it though, so shout out to him.
I mean, he got that Philly cash cause that shit
They
was.
just paid him $20 million 1 year.
That's all right.
That's a good. Listen.
That talk about a franchise tag.
Said fuck it.
That's no key. That was a franchise tag. Like niggas was like, we gotta get this
Yeah,
money.
it was like, nigga, you want too much for the long term? How much you want for this year?
You could get that. That was
Yeah,
that's
we
some
got
chill
you.
shit. Shit. I had a whole bunch of other shit, but
I had. Let me get mine on.
yeah, get your shits off.
Harry Pussy, y'all mind it?
Wow.
You said something random.
Whoa, we're coming in hot. All right. So
What inspired?
yeah. You gotta. I think
I'm down to
context.
answer.
There was no
I'm
segue.
down to answer.
Are you okay?
down to
Father
answer.
of one.
Father of one.
Father of one.
Father of one.
Father of one. Answer us.
As a hairy man, I can't complain. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
as a hairy man.
Transparency.
Yeah, I'm suing. I mean,
Yes, I love
I
it,
got a problem with it.
gentlemen. I'll answer y'all question after y'all answer.
No, I mean I prefer a clean plate, but I'm
I
sure
prefer-
that's not gonna stop.
Yes.
That's not gonna stop me from partaking in a good meal. I ain't got
Got you on answer?
Yeah, sir. Okay,
No, you're not.
let's see
You want
that
me to
fucking
answer?
word.
You a guest, you got it.
Hey, you in?
Bro, you want to get on the mic?
Niggas not gonna turn down to eat no pussy because it's hairy. Stop it. They're not gonna. Oh, your pussy's too hairy. I'm not gonna eat. I'm not gonna eat it.
You never know.
Yeah, shit.
Niggas.
They not. No.
It's 2020 niggas
It's
is different,
2020
buddy.
out here.
You know, them niggas be doing some shit, man. I done heard and seen some things, buddy. It's crazy out there.
I hate to see
but you really do. But like, Luke, of course. Like, are we not all grown?
Hey man, you know.
Niggas are saying they would.
I heard niggas say they like the Barbie Slim. I was like, hey man, you know.
My shit is like,
Niggas got preferences, but it's just like, you know.
it's mad creepy that's a preference of yours. Like, that's a creepy preference. I never like say that, but that's
Charles, we had this talk offline a few times.
and I'm not gonna say that preference.
A few times.
No, I'm not gonna say
Nah,
that preference is indicative of anything about you.
No.
But that's creepy. Like the fact that you're thinking about somebody's body in that way, that ain't got shit to do with you. It's not like you can see this.
People like different things.
True, that's very true. But
That's
my
why
thing about
I
it is
said
that
it's a
like
preference. That's why I said
that's kind of
preference.
creepy because it has taken you years. Because when you first have sex, more than likely, you not thinking it's just like. Unless you just only watch pornos and like this is where your only and this is your only and this is like your only sort of realm of like what sex actually is.
Yeah.
In your mind, why would you be so confused? It should just be like, oh, pussy. Like that should be.
Oh, pussy.
That honestly, it should be like, yo, I'm about to fuck something. Like that should be. It shouldn't like.
Just happy for the box.
Yeah.
Maybe if anything, you should be like, what is the smell? What does it look like? What does it taste like? So like, you know what I'm saying? Like these things, I can see. That was a good one.
Especially when a girl that you dying to fuck.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
You not
Dying.
You dying.
No.
just know adjectives and adverbs are the greatest part of the English language. So much, spent so much time.
Especially,
Hold on.
especially the placement of them.
Let's talk about this. Spend so much time and energy. How much time and energy is too much time and energy?
Everybody's different.
We would get that, but I need a baseline.
Stan, we talked about
What's
this
a lot
before.
of money? Everybody's different.
Let's see if times have changed in the new decade.
Come on, you came here.
Time and energy, like 3, 4, 5 months. That's
Damn, so you going past 90 days. You said fucking 90 days, 150 me, nigga.
I mean, she's bad.
Yes,
She
and
got a fat ass.
you gonna wait half a year? You're a real one.
My man getting semester in, bro.
Too big.
Get the semester.
Don't get it wrong.
Semester.
You're still talking to other females, but you still having that. You feel me?
Wow.
Transparency.
That's how you get down.
Hey, from the dying, from the dying to fuck, the time and energy,
Full circle, baby.
it's what is. You gotta put back again. I'm not gonna lie to you. Before I was kind of hesitant because every time I hang with you, you don't say much. So I didn't know you was gonna come in here and not say much.
This the first time y'all really talking to IT for real?
No, we're talking. I'm talking to IT, but IT.
Hell no.
We be at Mike's house, and IT just be acting like he don't want to speak. So I didn't know if IT had it in him.
In the
I
back
did not
channel,
know.
Fred.
Just chilling.
I got 3 to 5 for him. That's all
With
right.
3 to nigga, 3 to
Right.
salute. Salute, hey, help me out.
Nah, that's a good nigga right there, son.
3 to 5 is
Hold on,
real.
so you give all the other bitches plus that bitch the 3 to 5, so everybody gets 3 to 5? Is that what it is?
Depends if they like, if they worth it. I'm talking.
How do we determine?
How
How do we
worth it?
determine?
Yeah, it's all up to the behavior. Like,
It's all that.
That's alright.
All that.
Like I said, it's levels to this shit.
It's a behavior.
All right, you.
Like, let me give Amber Rose, right?
Wow, I haven't heard Amber Rose
me
name
neither.
brought up in a while.
I'm saying that's
But I
like-
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I would wait 3, 4, 5 months, even to a year for Amber Rose.
For the Amber?
Rose is that.
Hey G, I ain't getting that. What's your name? Hey D,
I ain't want to say it.
you a fool, man. You fool.
I knew somebody was gonna say it before me.
fooling.
I was going to let him rock
Who
out.
was gonna say it? D was dying
Now
to say
listen,
that shit.
to the fans of the podcast, listen. You know, we do not shame here.
We don't
So you know, D, that was a no-no. That's a foul. It's a tardy on D. But that was funny. So we take funny over fouls here.
We don't shame.
He said shit,
we don't.
slut.
Do we shame?
I don't know.
Let's talk about it.
Let's
Shame.
talk about it.
We did a whole episode of shame. Do you believe in shaming people? Like shaming people into corrective behavior, bullying per se.
Oh, of course not. Bullying? Nah. Bullying? Nah.
It's Joan and bullying.
No, if we boys, yeah, you join on me. So what? I got a big gap. Like join on me all day. Nigerian. Like, I like that. That's how I grew up.
I see. Relax. I like that.
No, that's how we grew up.
No, I get it, but people.
If y'all don't make fun of me, then I'm like, this nigga don't like me. That's how I'm feeling.
Wow. That's some very.
Cause that's how I grew up.
Son, the first time I met that T, nigga didn't talk. We played basketball 4 games, and nigga didn't say nothing the whole time. And I'm just like, son, I was like,
remind you, this is multiple times.
I said, Mike, who's the mute? And like, this is when we were children. I was like, Mike, who's the mute?
You was on some Kawhi Leonard shit.
Yeah.
Nah, I was on some chilling shit.
I was on some chilling shit. All right.
He just come. I was like, son, who the fuck is this little nigga? Like, he just come up. Him and Jason, like cooking shit.
So what? All right. So explain to me that. So you say that like, I get you grew up like that, but like you don't think you can outgrow that? Like it's just like we offer that. Like maybe making fun of each other isn't the best way to express our feelings with each other because that's all we're doing, right?
No,
I'm not talking about like all the time like we was kids. I'm like once in a while, like once a day. Once a day.
We talking big.
Hold on.
When we were kids,
I hate to. It was real. No, it's real out here.
I ain't want to come to school sometimes.
Sound good.
No, I'm saying like it was bad. Like elementary school, like 3rd, 4th grade. That's why like seventh grade.
You want the almost?
No, almost.
Yeah.
Damn,
That's when like
crazy.
6th grade. I was like, yeah, we got
Do
uniforms
we need to take you to a counselor? Sure. We might need to take you to a counselor, man. Just to talk about it, bro. Because like, I'm just saying, like, I'm not even joking. Like,
Hold on, so it was rough before the uniforms?
No, listen.
Back uniform.
Of course, everyone who gets drunk. I had high waters on for a slight period in the 5th grade, and just know it was very slight because of the joking. So like, shit happens. I definitely feel where you're coming from, but you might need to get somebody. You might need to talk to somebody. I'm just saying. But I hate to cut you off, but this guy, you left the group text, buddy. Let's talk about it, buddy. Let's talk about it.
What we do?
On to bigger and better things, huh? What we do?
Nah, I just wanted to be engaged in what's in front of me, and there's some shit I need to finish, and I be fooling with the homie, so I just need to finish this shit, and I'll get back to fooling.
Lord knows you be fooling.
That's it.
Just chilling. Just didn't know if we, sometimes people say people don't address things, so me,
Come on,
I'm about addressing things in the moment,
Nigga want to address me on live podcast.
In the moment.
On the live podcast. I'll probably be back in the group text by the time this episode
Charles,
come
holster
out.
your weapon, bro.
Fast, bro.
2020 Charles, bro.
2020
Like,
Charles.
Here's the thing about this.
At you from the hip.
I don't know if you know, but we've been friends. We've been friends for some time now. And in the new year, we're not taking kindly to people biting off of us or not paying acknowledgement or homage to the greatness. So because of that, I have to be a little bit more brash with my bravado.
Let's get to it.
Because if I don't, motherfuckers is going to just, kind of bite and then do it, repeat it, kind of like sprinkle some parsley, just try to make it a little different. Parsley! No, I'm playing. And it's not really the same thing. So for now, I have to kind of like be on my giddy up.
What that shit taste like?
Parsley? I don't really know.
I mean, they should be sprinkling that shit.
Some garnish.
It reminds me of what's the other shit that they be putting on tacos sometimes?
Sriracha?
Yeah.
Not sriracha.
Cilantro.
Cilantro got a taste.
You're right. It has more of a taste. It has more of an oniony taste.
Yeah, a little onion, little minty.
Yeah, onion minty. Yeah, but that's what it reminds me. What you fuck? You fuck with
So
the
that shit
cooking?
is grace.
Are you a cook connoisseur? Is that your thing?
Nah, I like the takeout. I'm a takeout kind of thing.
What's
Where you doing?
I see. What am I saying? Give me the best place to get some takeout.
Takeout. Oh man. If I just
I wasn't ready for this.
Hold on. Chicken wings and fries. We don't go on dates.
you go chicken wings and fries.
Where you taking them out at? Where you taking them out?
You don't take them out?
That's what I'm saying. You don't take them out on dates. You just take them out for takeout. You get the future line.
Hot wings and fries ain't no roof, Chris.
Nah.
Oh, so they get Roof Chris.
It depends. It's like
I love it. All depends on IT.
The joint that you wait 3 to 5 months for.
Month 4, she
Well, you smell. You
Roof Chris before Smash It.
after.
Wow, what a guy! What a guy!
He ain't getting no Roots Chris.
Why not?
Why not?
I tell you, that's not big baller behavior. That's not big baller behavior. That's called tricking. I stop it.
Nah, hold on. I feel that. I feel that love.
You father of one. First of all, father of one, you have to relax.
I feel that.
Father of one at IT.
I feel that love.
Have to relax.
My God.
Wait. Before you go, why
Why you
Nah, it's not about me, bro.
You said you felt it. You said
Yeah, you
It's not
said
about
you
me,
felt
right?
it.
It's not about me.
That's not okay.
It's not about
Stop
me
it,
right
bro.
now.
You call that tricking? Really, IT? That's tricking Roof Chris?
That's not
A meal.
I've never been.
Roof Chris before the smash. I feel him.
No, he said after. But
I felt it after the smash only because it's nice that the young lady is able to get a nice entree after she's been
Played.
Right.
So, that's cool, man.
oh, you meant like directly after? I thought you meant like.
Nah, he ain't talking directly.
Just
He
in
talking
general
like-
principle. Sometimes a chick may get smashed and she may not get nothing else of it. No souvenir, no to-go cup or nothing. So this guy is giving a Roof Chris. That's pretty awesome.
I just feel as though
But,
like you should.
how you get there? Like,
I'm about to say how you
don't
get
court
there.
this
Like if
woman,
Roof Chris is the final destination, what are we getting before that? Like that's what I'm saying. Help me.
I'm talking about. I'm trying.
You trying to give him the game?
You said the game must be sold. I told.
Hypothetically speaking, I'm just saying, like,
I ain't trying to blow up this spot.
No, just like,
I'm just trying to get the game.
probably some top golf, some Looney's, Applebee's, TGI Fridays, like, they not trying to go over 60, probably, like, it depends on the night, I'll go over it. Depends on if I like it, I'll probably go over. Over 60.
I like that. I like that you got that number.
No.
I like
You're
that
not
you got
getting Roost Chris, that's whole different enough. You're not getting Mastros. You're not getting what's that?
Del Fresco's?
Del Fresco's. Yeah.
Del Fresco's is nasty.
Yeah,
Hold on. That's my hot take. That's my hot take for the 2020.
No,
If you like
yeah.
Del Fresco's, I kind of judge you because I think that you don't like.
I feel the happy
stuff.
hour though. Like if you just try and get some drinks or some coke.
Well, I feel like happy hour anywhere. You could go to happy hour at Manhattan and I would respect you.
I mean, but they get a nice little plate at the happy hour with some chill happy hour food. But the dinner, yeah, nah. The
Del
dinner-
Fresco's is overrated to me, so
Yeah, I'm with
you might as well take. Don't take a Del Fresco's
People
first.
like aesthetic.
Nigga Charles. Take it to the nasty jump.
No, I'm just saying. I don't really. I don't know. Oh, here's another thing I had to. Have you ever met anyone who's been to a bar mitzvah?
No.
Never, right?
No.
Anyone in here? No.
Yeah.
Whoa. Have you ever been to a bar mitzvah? No.
No.
Have you ever been? No. All right. So here's my new thing. My new thing is, you have?
No.
Oh, I'm just making sure. Well, my new thing is this: how another way I'm judging people is if you've been to a bar mitzvah or I don't know if you know, but for girls it's called a bat mitzvah. Bat. New thing you guys learned.
Like BOT?
You knew that?
Yeah.
I don't really know that.
Introducing shit like educating.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Thank you. Well, at least me and D found out some new information. Excuse me to the uneducated like me and D, but fuck
I
you.
didn't say y'all weren't
I was
uneducated.
joking. Relax. But the point is, if you've ever been to one of those, I think you are wealthy. That is my new sort of sense of, or you're wealthy adjacent. Because who the fuck knows anybody but rich people who have bar mitzvahs? I know Jewish people, and he's told me that he was like, my parents are poor, that's why I didn't have one. I was like, so only rich people have it, not just Jewish people, but rich people.
Rich Jewish people.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's religious, right? Yeah. So it's like, so just know, if you start meeting people, that's where the money is. Stay close.
You know how these rappers be rapping about, I got a Jewish lawyer and all that. I mean, yeah.
That's weird, though. I feel like you should get a lawyer who would represent you and have your best interest in mind. I don't know if a Jewish lawyer would have your best interest in mind.
They just say that because a lot of times a Jewish lawyer is a name that's the best one.
Yeah, I get it. But I feel like in all instances of life, the people, this is not always true, but people who look like you don't always have your best interest in mind, but kind of more than someone who doesn't. Not saying that someone who doesn't can't, but just like
They have no reason to.
have no reason to. Like if you see another young black person, I'm sure you'd be like, damn, like if I could help, I would. Like if someone at your job you fuck with, I'm sure you look out, right? I think that's like a thing that happens. I don't think that
You have to take it.
you ever take.
I have a question. Have you had a lawyer before, John? Just asking.
No, but I have dealt with a lawyer. I haven't had personally a lawyer, but I have dealt with a lawyer. Yes.
Okay.
Is there a follow-up?
I mean, you saying, niggas brought up the Jewish lawyer. You're saying that, don't fuck with the Jewish lawyer because he might not have your best interest.
Yeah, this is more of like a.
I think lawyers have your best interest in heart because they're trying to get you out of whatever situation you're in. This is what they're paid to do.
Isn't the same thing could be said about doctors? But we also know that there's an inherent bias.
Everyone here watched the Ann Hernandez case because I can say that.
Yes, I know, I didn't, but the first thing I heard was that his lawyer fucked up.
Butchered it.
He probably got a shitty lawyer.
He didn't have his first interest. He didn't have his interest at heart, bro. Like if them niggas honestly had Aaron Hernandez.
Like, did you see? If you watch, I know people don't like to talk about this, but I know if you watch the OJ, the American Crime Story, you saw that his white lawyer did not have the same interest as Johnny Cochran. Like his white lawyer was like, let's settle, admit to murder,
take the plea. Take the plea.
Take the plea.
Bad lawyers do. They just want you to take the plea. They don't want to go to trial.
They don't want to go to trial because that's make the money. Like the same way we talk about doctors. Here's my thing. I wanted you to do this because you know. Yes, I did, because it's my overarching thing. My theme is that black people, it was the thing about doctors. Black people be like, yo, doctors, in particular black women, inherently have biases that affect them, like when they have children, when they're having cancer, different things. They don't screen it properly. They let them go through extra pain. And people are like, no, doctors would never do that.
I'm going to say medical malpractice kills people more than cancer or anything else in the black community.
People always are of the mindset that doctors, because they're doctors, why would they want to, but the thing is, bias is bias. Yeah. That's the same thing about police. Police don't, listen, I hate to be the one to bring it to you, but like, police aren't like racist just because they're racist. They're racist because this country is racist, so like, their bias is inherent. It's not like one day a police officer was like, yo.
Their bias is trained too.
I don't fuck with black people. No, it's like, yo, every day, it's like every day is black people. It's not. He didn't wake up one day and was like, I want to kill a black person. It's like, no.
And they train you.
Black people are criminals.
And they train you in them briefings, bro. Like every time you sit in one of them like police or law enforcement type briefings, like you go out, like wherever you at, shit like that. It might be a heightened threat and shit. They strategically target a certain demographic. So, like, before you go out, they telling you to, like, all right, look out for this. Like, look out for these type of people because those are the ones, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. Same thing the news do. Like, they fear-mongering, bro. So, it's just like, before they even hit the street, my nigga, like get in the car, they already are, like, heightened in a certain way. And bias is crazy, bro.
I don't put it past anybody.
And I don't work where I used to work. I can talk freely. So
bias is, and that's what I'm saying. Bias is in everything. Like, so don't get it twisted. Don't act like black people aren't biased. Rich black people
are worse.
Inherently have a bias towards not giving a fuck about poor black people because they're like, oh, look at you, I made it. These things are very true. So I'm like, yo, I'm not just saying fuck with people just because they look like you, but like inherently, I think it's safer to say that those people might care a bit more.
Ironically, I was having a conversation with my boy that's a lawyer, and he told me with some legal shit, and like I was telling him like he was deciding between going to Georgia and California for the next bar exam. And I'm like, it'll be good to go to Georgia because so many people in black entertainment. It'll be good for them to destroy the stigma of depending on Jewish lawyers and them embracing the black lawyer for law representation. Like, this conversation is pretty ironic. I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, like, we definitely do need to destroy that shit. People feel more comfortable talking to their own people, I think. Like,
it's only like 3 or 4 black real entertainment lawyers for real that's out here, and they all represented by they all represent the same people. This shit's crazy.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, keep just very careful with our biases. They creep up from time to time. We all have biases. It's better to admit them and work through them than to not acknowledge they exist.
Are you talking to someone directly?
I'm just talking to the group as well. We all have biases.
All right.
Inherently.
Just asking.
He's a father. I'm sure he has biases towards things that I do not.
My son has a black pediatrician. It's a beautiful thing. I love it.
I'm surprised, actually. I would think that you would have got a white.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't know how I feel about that, but that's funny.
Why would you say that?
What?
That was a good question.
What did you say that?
There's a lot. This man is giving us a lot of reasons.
A lot of reasons.
For one, he called Charles and darkies.
Wow. Yes, he did. What?
Come on now.
Come on now. You know what? I'm glad Darcy feels this way.
That's the reason why we don't fuck with y'all.
We don't fuck with y'all as bad as darkies. We don't fuck with y'all. Doesn't carry the same weight as darkies.
I don't fuck with them.
Hold on, here's the issue.
With them doesn't carry the same weight. We're not about to flip this all on me. We're not saying these hurtful and negative sayings that just got slayed.
These hurtful and negative. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna dive
Who
into
are you, Fraser Crane?
I don't know, nigga.
Hold on, wait. Did you used to say African booty scratcher growing up?
Never.
Lies.
Never was my name.
Right? If you said darkies, if you said the way he said never, you knew he was lying. You knew he was lying.
No, I ain't never banged a booty scratcher. That was a little.
Never.
That was a little.
Look at him. He's lying. He's just lying.
You're terrible.
It's the Remy.
He's never made me know he
You
said.
drank all that?
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
I don't get out.
Father, no, where was I at before you?
We don't need to go there back there.
No, all right. Oh, yeah. So the point you were trying to make is not a fair one because history says that people like you inherently do not face the same issues that darkies face.
I thought
So when
we
you
were talking
use
about
such
sluts and
language,
Amber Rose. Like I thought we was talking about judging people, and
that's why they love this here because this the range.
it's the range.
They love this here.
Yes, Charles.
They love it.
Continue.
So remember you asked what the podcast was about?
I was very serious.
As you can see. So back to the darkies comparison.
What kind
it's
of
not a
gelatin
fair,
is that though?
bro. It's not for you, bro.
Damn.
It's not for you, buddy. Yeah,
I'm cheating.
It's just life.
Yeah, clarify.
But like I said, the history doesn't allow for the same sort of negative connotation to exist. So while your feelings may be hurt, it doesn't reach to that structural level. So yeah, it's just like when people say white privilege, they're like, I'm white and I'm poor. It's like, fine, but we're not talking about you. We're talking about the overarching system.
Personally, I don't like your rebuttal, but you got it.
You don't like it because you can't explain it away?
I don't like how you tried to.
Or
whatever.
You just mad that
I'm not mad
it shot down your point.
I'm just not.
What's wrong?
Mad.
What's wrong? That's what I'm saying.
I don't like your rebuttal.
Is it the Remy talking?
No, this is. I don't like your rebuttal.
You have to tell me why. Like
there was no shot against you.
I'm about to say this was just a thing about society as a whole, not you.
You said I couldn't feel a way about.
No, you can't. No. Listen,
because I said my initial comment.
Not you. You can. That's the thing about feelings.
Like
not Joe.
Yes,
but everybody.
You can feel. Listen, I can feel what I want. You can feel what you want. That doesn't change the reality of history. So, like, I could be like, yo, racism doesn't exist. That's fine. I may never have faced racism. That could be true. But there's like 400 years that says that like people that look like this, they face racism. So like whether I feel it's true to be doesn't change what the reality is. That's kind of the
pictures of niggas in shackles, but you know,
like niggas getting shipped on boats and hung from trees and
shackles, dog.
Being in pet zoos in Germany and Berlin. Like, is Berlin in Germany?
Negative.
Yeah.
Belgium and Berlin.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, like, can't really negate history because your feelings are hurt. That's the reason why we have to stop this. That's what white people do a lot. Their feelings get hurt, and then we stop looking at what the facts are. Like, your feelings do not matter, Beth. You're wrong.
Truly.
You didn't go here.
Mean Girls, quality movie. Is Mean Girls a more quotable movie than Scarface?
Yes.
That's all that tweet.
Sadly, it is.
It definitely is.
Sadly, it is.
And we recently watched Scarface.
Rap music literally is Scarface, bro.
Are we talking about today's time?
I would argue rap music is just
Say hello to my little friend.
mafia movies from Godfather, Casino, Goodfellas,
Scarface.
Scarface came right in the 2000s.
Carlito's Way.
We can sit down and really go through this one day, but no, I think Scarface got Mean Girls. I think Scarface.
Oh, we're still talking about the quotables. I don't know, man. You don't even go here.
Never even seen either.
Come on, Glen Coco. Like they got
Come on, Glen Coco.
You go, Glen Coco.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Classics.
Some
The world is yours. Don't fuck with me. Fucking.
You're breaking me quarter song. Yeah, there's some Johnson. There's some. Yeah, that's the most popular.
Say hello, my little friend is the joint that I think if you're gonna be like
That's the most common
take the
one.
take the two biggest ones from each movie and put them against each other. You probably have the winner with Scarface.
Yeah, hold on.
If that's an argument, I think you could do that.
But if we talking about the list of the most quotables,
Bro, the world is yours is everywhere. Bro, you mean something? The world is yours.
We wear pink on Wednesday. There's just so many.
Paid in Full. Paid in Full is legendary.
Paid in Full.
Yeah, no, but we're talking about the actual quotes.
like people actually quoting lines from the
like
movie.
quoting lines from the movie verbatim. Like Scarface is. That's why I think it's an argument. Like Mean Girls, like what's the joint?
That's a solid argument.
He asked me,
That's
what
the
day?
crazy
What was it?
part, 'cause I started
Wednesday,
to tweet too.
February.
I really got to look down.
Yeah, like they actually got an actual day, like in
March-
real life.
March-
Like,
Days it went pink.
And then the March, what was it? He
forgot
asked me date is
yeah.
March 3rd, some shit like that. So yeah,
the shit is
so
crazy.
you never seen Mean Girls, D? You seen Mean Girls?
No.
Next time you come back, you
Seen that
can't
shit.
come back again until you see Mean
Seen that
Girls.
shit in Miss Price class.
I told you this is about range. You need to have the range.
I got a question for range.
I mean,
you fuck with the white girls?
Nah.
I gotta relax.
Nah, not really. Not really.
So you don't discriminate.
I don't really like. No. White girls are. Why there's some bad white girls out there, but
Of
they
course.
not my.
I have a list.
They're not my type.
What's a bad white joint to you? Like a famous white joint? What's like your like?
I got a list.
white
Want me to
girl?
help you? I got a crazy
You
list.
got it written down?
No, but me and Foley were going through it. So my
Anne Hathaway is gonna be his number one.
oh my goodness, she's not number
I
one.
thought Lindsay Lohan
There's
was number
there's
one.
no numbers. We're just going. We're adding to the list. Anne Hathaway, Mila Kunis, Sarah Hyland. You ever seen Modern Family?
Yeah, she is white.
Yeah, I seen
She's
Martin,
Russian.
The daughter.
The older daughter. Sarah Hyland, Mila Kunis, Anne Hathaway. This new chick I
Charles,
like
I don't know why you
named
keep thinking Sarah Hyland yours, but you got it. Unless you had that one. Chick.
Lenny. Hold on. Oh no.
The J 8 face right now. Let's kill it.
Reese Witherspoon is up there. There's this Lenny. What?
I'm feeling Rock Nation Reese. I'm fucking with the Rock Nation.
I love
Yeah,
this.
that- She got the Ivy Park pack.
Lenny Wright. Oh, hold on. The chick who was in Hustlers, she just got added to my list. You seen Hustlers?
I ain't fucking with that.
You didn't like the movie?
I ain't see.
I felt like the plot could have been.
I heard they
a
getting
little better
sued.
than that. And then, like I didn't like it. It was surrounded around the Asian shorty. Like I rather
Yeah,
like,
it was. I mean, it was about both of them. Lily Reinhart.
They could have said something else.
But she's the pimp though. So
I like her. My
That'd
latest,
be about the hoe.
my latest white person white woman who I've added to my list. I don't know how I feel about Scarlett Johansson. She alright,
Scarlett
but
Johansson,
she don't does it all the time.
Angelina Jolie number one for me.
Charlize Theron.
What's her name? She had a blindfold in that movie. The Netflix.
But white woman, blonde hair movie. It's
No,
not.
she had a blindfold.
Bird
shit.
Box?
Oh, Bird Box. What's that? Sandra Bullock?
Bullock?
Yeah. Come on, bro. This is not. It's not 95, buddy. This is not 95. This is not 95. Coming to the new century, buddy. Coming in. Nigga gave me Sandra Bullock.
Hey, no, she's alright, Miss Congeniality.
Yes, in 04.
They just fucking busted.
Coming up. You know about OG white girl?
What the 2018 said?
Y'all know about OG white girl is. Devil Wears Prada.
Oh man,
Meryl Streep.
Ugh.
Love me some Meryl.
Just relax, Charles.
You don't love
That Uncle Tom Cabin's pussy dog. Fuck that.
Wow. Disrespect to a
What
legend.
side of history was she on in that joke?
Down to
though?
Harvey Weinstein, dog.
Oh yeah, that's not okay.
She gotta relax.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What type
Oh,
of
she was holding down Harvey?
Yes, nigga.
She's
So was
right.
Oprah.
I'm not.
Let's not
2
judge.
points.
Let's
2
not
points for
judge.
Charles. Ka-ching.
I'm
Let's
not
not
out here
judge.
riding for Oprah too. I'm just saying, like, you feel
So
me?
you gonna say something bad about Oprah?
Fuck her.
Fuck Oprah, man.
Oprah. I didn't say that, Oprah. I love you. Send me a book club.
So how you get
Try
2
to be the
points
book
then
club.
if you riding for Oprah?
I'm not writing for Oprah.
So what are you talking about?
I just said I
You
didn't say
don't
fuck
get
her.
2 points.
I didn't say fuck her. I got 2 points because you guys.
You rode for Oprah.
You go for Oprah. I did not ride for Oprah.
You just rode for Oprah.
What we will not do. What we will not do.
So I'm about to say, don't let them put that shit
What
on
we
you.
will not do.
If you
is
ride
have
for
me
Oprah, you ride for
riding
Weinstein
what?
by association.
Yes, kind of about riding for Burrow because I just found out, but I didn't know. So give,
Alright, see,
so give me some time. Let me do some research, and I'll come back to you guys. All right.
Back to this list, dog.
Lily Reinhart was the latest add to it. Oh, there's this girl on this show called
Megan Fox and Transformers.
Megan
No,
Fox is up there. Have y'all seen the show called
I don't like her
Dynasty?
thumbs.
Oh, Mook watched the show called Dynasty.
Her thumbs, nigga. How you see her thumbs, nigga? What, you got 4K?
Nah,
Oh yeah, Elizabeth Gales.
There's something about her thumb.
Elizabeth Gillis.
Yeah, that's my. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like all these girls they're beautiful, but it's just like
it's not for you.
Yeah,
it's okay.
They're just too skinny.
You haven't even seen any of their bodies.
No. I seen
Lily Reinhart. You didn't even see her.
I'm about to say that one right there, y'all thick.
Yeah, this one is thick. That's what I'm saying. She got a little meat on her.
Hillary Duff
It's
be
not
giving
thick.
it up.
Hillary Duff definitely.
It's not us. It's not
Hillary Duff.
me. It's not like me.
Of course, no. I mean, listen, they different. Like,
No, it's not.
You can't expect the Range Rover to be the same as a Toyota. Like,
That's why when you say
it come with different shit. Like
You can live the rest of your life with a white girl, Sean.
No.
I feel like I could.
You feel like you can?
No, I'm talking about you. I feel like I could.
You feel like you could?
No, I feel like
you feel like you could see me? Like how you
asking,
how you see things for me now?
I couldn't see that.
Thank you.
I can see
Have some respect for
I
me.
couldn't see that. That would be fucking hilarious, though.
The only white girl I would end my times with, if I had to, would probably have to be from Europe.
Yeah, I was about to say she's not from America
Her father could not be from the States
at all.
I do not deal with that type of racism. I deal with the O's. You out?
Yeah.
It was a pleasure having you, D. All right, come through.
if you would have came at 1 o'clock, like
I mean, listen.
come on,
Hey, listen. I just want you guys to know that from time to time, I do my own thing.
Speak on it, man.
He said he was a family man, people.
Family man.
Allegedly.
Wow, fuck you. What was the point I was at until you guys ruined it and threw me off?
I'd love to see it.
Hey, Miles' jokes. Shout out to IT. IT came through.
He did.
And like I was saying earlier, I did not know this
He
nigga talk.
turned this motherfucker up, too.
Yo, for the first episode of season 4, shout out to IT. I did not know IT talk, so I was kind of hesitant to have him here. But as y'all can see, my man said he was dying.
Dying the fuck.
Listen, there's been like 4 quotables on this show, and none of them come from any of us. It is ridiculous. Niggas be crying. I'm dying to fuck. But
This nigga said you ain't never had a jump.
Dying to fuck.
Dying, bro.
My nigga, we
the
are
fact that
not
we're
in
doing the
ninth
recap
grade.
Right now.
the rollout, bro. Shout out to IT.
Yeah, the rollout.
IT, come back. Please come back, because you turned this bitch up.
3 to 5 months to a year.
3 to 5?
Feel that?
To a year, bro.
O'Malley felt everything. Was there anything O'Malley did not feel from
I be
IT?
banging in 3 months. I can give you 3.
Oh, you be in the 90 days for sure, buddy. Oh, wow.
Whatever happens, happens.
That'd be, never mind. I had a joke. I'm not even going to do it. So here's my another take I had that I just want to get off. Y'all seen the Terry Crews shit?
Nah.
What do you do now, dog?
So you know he the host of that NBC show.
Which one?
The joint that Gabrielle Union used to be on that.
Her spot?
Well, I don't know if he took her spot, but
Yeah, they definitely took her. They definitely got her out.
she got out the she's got out the way. But I don't know if he, it was because of him, but she got out the way nonetheless.
They didn't renew her contract.
That's what they said.
She was
but
talking some politics shit.
they, she was getting harassed. She was like, they made some racist Asian jokes, a bunch of shit.
Oh wow.
This weekend,
Yikes.
this past weekend, your man Terry Crews went on some news channel and was like, he never experienced racism on that same show. He said it's the most diverse, he's basically doing PR. He was like, I can't speak to sexism because I'm not a man. Because I'm a man, not a woman. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but Terry Crews was one of the first in the male Me Too movement. He was one of the
Group. He was off. Oh yeah.
It happens to men too.
I had a joke.
It happens to men too. And when he said that, a lot of niggas like Mook had jokes.
A lot of niggas like me.
It wasn't even about it. It was about something we was talking about in the group chat the other day.
Oh, please don't expose us all. Expose yourself and yourself only, please.
I wasn't exposing me.
Exactly. That's why I say expose yourself and yourself
There was
only.
nobody, like none of us, for us, like that's in the group chat. We was talking about one of the wild niggas in the group chat.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey son, I'm gonna bring that nigga up.
Very cool.
So yes, somebody's like, get this thing rolling.
He coulda got
all right,
raped.
so he got groped, whatever. And when that was happening, niggas was making jokes.
God bless him.
And when niggas making jokes, a lot of our sister
You the
girls,
only one that heard it.
Yeah.
cause y'all sick. A lot of our sister girls,
Our sister girls.
cause
Y'all or our?
our.
Oh, I thought I
You
heard
said
y'all.
y'all at first.
Yeah. He definitely back to y'all.
We can run it back.
Oh, yeah.
We can run it back.
Mark it down.
A lot of our sister girls.
You're the only one that heard it.
Yeah.
Because y'all sick. A lot of our sister girls. But a lot of our sister girls and black women in general were like, yo, you guys don't respect Terry Crews, don't make fun of him, da-da-da. That's wrong. You know, he's going through some real thing. Men can be victims. All that. I respected it. I applaud it.
Also goes back to people that looking like you have your best interests at heart.
You would think. I love when everybody just works in unison. It's a beautiful thing. You would think, right? So, like I said, yesterday, this past weekend, Terry Crews did all that. He went out there, he said all the shit, and now the women are upset. They're very upset that he basically threw Gabrielle Union under the bus, and now they're not feeling Terry Crews. But what I would like to remind the sister girls is that niggas told you guys this. They told you Terry Crews at his big age, with his big self, that story didn't match up. And y'all said, no. We told y'all, this don't seem right. And you know what Terry Crews did? He threw niggas under the bus time and time again as he shucked and jived, it seems like. To the approval.
It looked like the 60 girls did us with the Smollett shit too, bro.
Jussie, here's my thing. I'm always gonna back the sister girls because I fucks with y'all at the end of the day. And like my man IT was saying, you know, like, it's just different with y'all. Like, I'm not trying to be with no white woman. Like, you know, I fucks with my sister girls. That's at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to be at.
That's what you got from my IT today? That's all?
Amongst many other things.
That's what you
Listen, you know why I'm mad at him? Because he used my shit I used on him against me.
Yes,
and I love it.
Win.
I love it. Yes, I love it.
I love
that's friendship. Using nigga shit against him. But that's what you.
They saying Terry Crews got the white wife. That's all I see.
His wife is.
That's all I see.
His wife is just mad light skinned. But that also
nice,
goes to my other point about does someone look black or white? It's just like. No, what do you mean no respect? Why this guy's been called white before? He thought that one was personal.
Calling an African booty scratcher, but you can't take the white.
You can get out.
Very white man of you.
Stand.
Very MAGA of you, James.
Oh my gosh, I hate everybody here. But my point remains that
you can get out.
when niggas was talking about it, when they said black women gotta stop coming to everybody's rescue for the sake of coming to niggas' rescue, and remember that. Sometimes them niggas gonna leave you out to dry. Terry Crews is a perfect example.
Same.
Niggas was doing, like, they were doing his bidding for him. They was, you know, calling out people, da-da-da. And now look, as soon as he had a chance, he was like, shit, I'm gonna act like ain't shit sweet. Cause I wanna make sure the checks keep rolling in nice and smoothly for me. So like I said,
I think that's really why he did that shit. Check stop.
People ask I see someone post a clip where, you know, Gabrielle be like, what did you get? Did you get the house? I was like, yeah, he got probably a bigger check. Like, they were like, thank you, good PR.
Yeah,
thank you for having people be like, oh yeah, we're not racist. Like, so I'm just saying, black woman, before you decide to, this goes to my second thing. Remember that woman in Memphis, they said, had 11 kids? And she was lost.
She was lying the whole time?
She only had 2.
Yikes.
Her boyfriend got 9.
Well, she got 11 kids.
No,
that's not how it works, though, Maddie.
Nigga.
Hey,
but
you know what I'm saying?
They not married,
bro. And first of all, they couldn't even stand. They had multiple allegations on like Facebook and other things saying that like not all them kids live with her. Some of them kids be. I mean, it was just. Here's the thing: people be like Facebook, but then News 5 says something everybody believes it. That niggas could be. They're all lying. That's my
News
whole point.
5 got a Facebook.
That was my point earlier. That we can't just accept certain things from certain people and be like, all right, cool, and then from other people be no. We're either gonna dissect and be vigilant about everything, or we're just gonna take everything how it comes. I, for one, am bowing out of everything. Leave me out of all of this. I will holler at you guys. Hopefully, in a couple years, when I have a little bit more money and I'm able to go off the grid. Until then,
you've been talking this off the grid shit for a while. What does going off the grid really mean?
How you gonna go off the grid?
Well, I've thought about it.
Because it takes a lot.
It takes a lot.
You're already in it, buddy.
It takes a lot, but
you're already in it.
Also,
you're embedded to that. Like.
Also, it takes a lot, but it also takes like community. So first, one thing I'm gonna have to either move out to Ghana or
The return.
The return,
the
nigga,
year.
the go.
It's either gonna have to be to Ghana or to like dead ass La Plata, Maryland. Like it's going to have to be to like that's the thing about it. You can't be off the grid while in the community.
Come on, play that.
Nah, I've been thinking about low key moving out there. Though.
So if you move out to a place like La Plata,
it's a perfect place to buy land and grow.
With
they got acres.
Like I'm gonna say a place that nobody's Danjamoy. Like if you live out in those type of places,
I'm gonna say Port Tobacco.
Port Tobacco, you book those. Oh my god! Anytime I hear that, I just think of. Wow, I just think of packages.
These are places in Maryland.
These are places in Maryland. So my thing about it is that if you live out there, you're able to now sort of live off the grid. You won't be in a place where metro is accessible.
Nigga, they got tornadoes out there.
You know, like that changes your life. Like, yes, I'm not living out off the grid in Brooklyn and DC. Like, no. That's why I'm trying to trying to get my trips out the way, save enough money, and then have something bankable. Either assets, so I have shit. Let's say I just have X amount of fucking stock, shits with dividends that I'm like, all right, I can count X amount of money coming in. Let's say I have, I have to have those things in line to go off the grid. But yeah,
what are you gonna do every day? Just.
What's your fascination with being off the grid?
I wouldn't grow plants, weed, particularly.
I would like
vegetables.
I'd grow small shit. I wouldn't grow anything big. Like, I'd grow like corn.
Yeah, tomatoes.
I'd grow like real small
cucumbers.
I'd probably like, and the thing about it is that that's the only thing about kids that I kind of like.
Spinach,
like you can't have kids and live like that. Like at least in my mind, I don't think that's fair to children.
It already have to be set up in order for you to have children.
Exactly, but I don't think it's fair to deprive kids of society. Yeah, I think that's selfish as an adult to be like you have to live the way I want to live.
We're gonna be Mormons.
I think you should give. That's why I really think living in the city is good for children because they kind of get to decide. Like you will find people who are into all types of things. You'll find people who like to be secluded and down. You'll find people who like to party and turn up. So like that's you to decide. I got to live in like cities and city suburbs, and I kind of understand that I like the suburbs more than I like the city. That's years of me living different places. And
I want to be off the fucking grid, but I stand.
You know what I'm saying? Like
limited internet accessibility.
That's what I'm saying. Like off the grid might be a little bit extreme at this point.
Like I'm not slamming the iPad in my child's face or a tablet and shit. I'm like, nah, little nigga, if you old enough, all right, come to me right quick, spray them plants. Like, you know
you can get an iPad, but my thing about it is that like
you're not gonna be on it.
People need to like human interaction isn't fading or like becoming less, but I think the way people interact is because people interact with their phones. It's still human interaction. You could be somebody. You could be showing somebody something on your. That's a human interaction. It's just much different.
So like, where you gonna go to brunch at?
That's the thing. You have to wean yourself off of these things. Like I have to get to a point where that isn't.
You seem pretty like accustomed to this lifestyle now, Charles.
Well, things change. I wasn't accustomed to this lifestyle at one point, and then I became accustomed to it.
Facts.
It was a point where you would have been like, "Go to a life for what?" You trying to tell me we're going somewhere? We gotta get dressed up to go eat breakfast food somewhere and drink. Nigga, go buy a bottle and let's make the food. Like that was me in 2010 and 11.
And then that's probably gonna be Charles when you get older.
You gain more, but like, what have you really taken away since you've been like, like.
It's a good question. And I think those are questions you grapple with and you try to internally deal with. Like, that's my thing. Like, people know you. So people can make, like, opinions of you and how they see your life. So, like you said, like, what have you gained? That's a real question. That's something that I have to ponder and say, as someone who's been around me for enough time, like you said, you know the brunches, you know what have I gained? What has anything changed? Am I any more closer or not? And then you take stock and you decide for yourself. I just think that it's easy to be like, this is what it is and this is what it has to be. Me and Mook in the group text with Keese and others, and we basically spent 2 days having these dudes argue back and forth about
socialism
the socialism versus capitalism, the pros and cons of both. But basically, it was funny because they were always at a disconnect because one was arguing strictly the economical basis while the other one was arguing the full scope of it as society.
Which was wild because I'm just like, this is an argument that people literally have in the real world.
But what I took away from their conversation was that people don't realize how much capitalism is part of society and not just the economics.
Yeah.
Like the idea of grinding is a capitalistic mindset.
Yeah.
Not because, you know, you need money, but that applies to everything. Now everybody grinds because grinding means equal working hard. Working hard means money, and money is the ultimate end goal. And I think people sometimes try to act as if
I can't be comfortable.
Capitalism stops strictly at the economics, but that's false. Because nothing in a society like the way ours functions stops at one thing. So basically, like the laws you decide to make affect the economics. You know, like so the society and the economics, they play hand in hand. You can't take one.
And now economics is more so dictating politics. So it's just like
the tech company.
crazy.
We talk about how tech company. Like my thing about, I think a lot of people who are into this stuff, they get mad because they think like people are trying to take their money, but it's like I think people want people to pay a fair share. Like knowing you pay taxes, you pay taxes, you pay taxes, I pay taxes. Jeff Bezos' company made $11 billion, I believe, and they're not gonna pay taxes.
Bro.
So that's the issue. Like I think people are like, oh, you want to take no.
And like not even Jeff Bezos himself, but his company.
You see how I said that?
Yeah.
His company. Like Hazy Thoughts is a company in itself, and they will get taxes. They will pay taxes. I think it's kind of odd that someone who made X amount of dollars, $11 billion, is being said not to pay taxes because the idea is that he brings to society, that he provides jobs. And that's a weird concept because now you're conflating these two things. If everyone pays taxes because of capitalism, he should pay taxes because he's part of capitalism. But now you're losing this sort of socialistic view that says, well, help, he's providing jobs which provide money to other people, so let's cut him a break.
Yeah.
People decide what's the greater good.
And then they overlook his work, how he overworks his people, doesn't give them benefits.
But that's
like
capitalism.
That. I'm right here, Charles. I was just adding on to your point.
I think it's just I think it's a complex conversation. It's an intricate conversation. And I was glad that those two guys had it, Keith and Drew, because
like the worldly views of them two individually and like the backgrounds of them two,
shape those conversations
completely different.
You know what I'm saying? And what I liked about it was that everybody was able to get their points across without ever belittling.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully is all. Once again, it's all
subjective.
It's all subjective. So I could be like, oh, it was a perfect, and then one of them could be like, nah, that nigga was trying to play me. He was trying to be shady.
It was a couple points where I was like,
you see what I'm saying?
It was a couple points where you could have been like, you trying to play him.
You see what I'm saying?
But the way Keish responded to that, he was just like, we're having a debate.
You see what I'm
saying?
saying?
It's just like we're just talking about these things.
But there's all.
And then Keish combated that with something that was like, you know what I'm saying? He threw another jab. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's all on the person.
It was a very nice verbal sparring match.
There's all on the on the spar.
Who won? Huh? Honestly, who won?
It was a sparring match. Nobody wins in a sparring match.
I think what happens was I think Keith sharpened Drew's argument for a later date.
Yeah.
For somebody else. Because the thing is that Keith's points
exposed the holes in Drew's points.
He was just looking at it at a different way.
He pointed to the blind spots.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say holes because the thing about the argument is that they were specifically unique and different to each person.
Yeah.
Someone was literally arguing economics versus somebody was arguing societal overall good. And when they were able to somewhat come to a middle point, you saw that they were like, okay, here's how we flesh this out for other people. So, like, I'm just saying, like, I just feel as though...
And, like, that was tight because the convo kept going back and forth. Like, when they agreed, they, like, compounded on that. And then when they...
Yeah, to form, I think, a third point.
Yeah,
or
and
a
then
point.
They would go back to, you know what I'm saying, compounding point. I mean,
the main points.
Yeah, and I was just like, that was tough. Like, it was stand by opening conversation. But the two people that were having the conversation was just like, oh, yeah, like... There's a stamp like Democrats versus Republican like that, low key like.
I have that feel too, but also that's a very simplistic view because there's only two parties.
I mean, we just
So it's not like he's wrong because like Bernie Sanders, I wouldn't even consider him a Democrat by Democrat standards, but when you have the Republican Party and the Democrat Party,
it's the only party that you can put in.
People don't respect independent third party voters. His points align closely more towards that, so he becomes that.
I just said that because, like, you know, a lot of people not too hip about socialism and shit like that. A lot of people think socialism is communism, and it's just like, you gotta relax.
But we talked about all those things came up. But like I said, I just feel as though that in particular sort of conversation made me look at other things, not to do with politics, but overall how people see systems. It made me be like, okay. So I'm closer, and this is how I think it comes back to living off the grid. I'm closer to a lot of what I felt Keith was talking about, and that came from a very socialistic. It's kind of because the thing about what Drew's saying is like it's a very like get the bag.
Yeah.
And my thing about that is that's fine.
Strap yourself,
but for me, at a certain point, getting the bag only is going to equate to so much. There's I don't know a number figure because I keep seeing that number figures just keep increasing.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, yo, get $1 billion. Well, there's people who have $1 billion and they're trying to get more money.
Like there's like the trillion was like became a thing since we've been alive. Like,
so the idea that money is going to be the overarching theme, I've come to realize that's not true. But what is true is that there's a lifestyle, there's a way of living, standard of living,
utopia,
that you can create, and you need money in this society. So you have to try to judge it. You have to try to balance, like, how do I maximize my lifestyle with the system and make it work?
Capitalism.
I don't know. Once again, so maybe that's probably why I'm always thinking about off the grid, because I think to live in this society and not to think about that is kind of weird. Because like many of us are a few non-checks or like a debilitating mental or physical medical issue away from being like, what the fuck? So for me, it's like, can't really have all that fun without considering the factors of the fun you're having. And while you're having the fun, you gotta have the fun, right? You can't be thinking about the factors that led you here. So you gotta do. I think you gotta do one at a time. So for me, maybe I'm having too much fun. Maybe I need to revert back to more thinking of this stuff. But
like living up to your Twitter name,
the Frugal Scribe. You're fucking right. It's a good point. Last thing I want to talk about. We're getting into All-Star Weekend, Super Bowl time. Have a few pointers. All-Star Weekend. 3 people you need to hang out with: the drug dealers, the athletes, celebrities.
Are you talking to the ladies right now?
No, talking to everybody. 3 people you need to hang with.
Niggas do
the
drugs
drug
too.
dealers, the celebrities, and the athletes. What I mean by that is that, listen, All-Star Weekend, you're probably in a poppin' city.
Chicago this time.
Most cities, on a regular night when you go to the club, $1,000 gets you maybe 2 bottles in a section. Maybe. I went to Miami during, it was maybe the Memorial Day weekend one year, or another year. Oh, the first year I went to Art Basel. Story, they were charging $3,700 for a 2-bottle minimum table. 3 bottle minimum table, 10 people, $3,700. My point to be is that it doesn't cost $3,700 to get into Story probably any other night. But that night,
I said getting at the door was $100.
Yeah, it probably costs maybe $20 on a good night. But that night, it costs $100 just to get it, and it costs $3,700 to get a table. Factor that into all your decision making when you go to these places. Like, you've probably been to somewhere before. You've probably been to LA. You've probably been to Houston. You've probably been to Miami. You probably had a great time. And you probably were like, yo, I ain't spent that much money. I was lit. I did that. No, it's not that weekend. This is for the ballers. It's not fair. It's actually kind of stupid. But this is what this weekend is for. Make sure you do that.
I don't think it's stupid. I think that the stage is set, and you should know what you're getting yourself into, and that's why you're here letting people know.
That's what I'm saying. But I think it's stupid because the actual service.
That shit was hilarious because when we walked in, Charles was like, "How much is a section?" I was like, "Nigga, I'm not asking." It was like the Migos about to be here. He asked, so he asked cuz, he was like, how much we was at the bar, matter of fact. He was like, how much is the section? Shorty was like, I think it's like 35. Hold on. He was like 35. No, you good. Like, fuck it.
We over here.
But the thing about it is that the product and the service isn't going to be that much better, in my opinion.
I think it's worse.
And that's my thing. My thing about it is that, like, some days I will admit, when there's, like, big events at these places, the shit be super lit. So it is worth that experience.
Because it was lit that night.
But I've been in many a times where we've been in places where it's supposed to be that night, and I've had more fun on a night.
Random jokes night.
At a, like, going to Kinfolk, like the actual club, not the night, but the actual party, and was much better than this night where everybody was supposed to be here. So that's the only issue, and this comes back to my thing about capitalism. It's about products and service. If at the end of the night it was like, oh yeah, now pay for the night, that'd be fine. But we go into paying for
expectation
with the service not even being truly provided yet.
It doesn't elevate either. It may even be worse.
You know what I'm saying?
And your table could get bought out too. Exactly. There's a lot of fucking politics.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, on a regular night, people respect it. Like, someone could buy at your table anytime. This is the club business. It can happen at any time. But on a regular night, most people do a better job of being like, hey, you know, you go buy another bottle, you got a limit here, you can move you. No, the night with the big where they charge $3,700, it's gonna be like, hey,
get out of here.
You're not like, literally. There's nothing. All right, move. And they're all right, because that is the way that, you know, business industry works. So I'm just saying, keep that in mind when you get out there for the Super Bowl. Same thing. Listen, you can go to a party like a Super Bowl party, but just know a sponsored Super Bowl party by some beer company or
alcohol company
or some media company is gonna be kind of whack. Kind of boring.
The niggas be fucking with the Super Bowl weekend. I don't think niggas be fucking with the Super Bowl
weekend. Be lit,
especially when it's in Miami. Yeah. Like, yes, when it's in Minnesota, niggas is not going super live. But when it's in Miami, like this year,
that shit's going dumb.
That shit is going dumb. When it was in New Orleans last year,
dummy.
Niggas is going dumb.
When it was in Atlanta, dummy.
That's the thing. You go to party. That's the thing about these events. Like Miles said, like that's why I feel you. Like, it's not stupid because you know what you're paying for. Like Essence. You know that this is the event for the weekend, so you know the bars are gonna, like, the lines are gonna be a little longer. Like, and that's all I say when people go to these events. Like, if you are going there as a not as a participant in any form, you're going there as a attendee of the event. Keep in mind that.
That's why I'm like going to them fucking weekends if I don't got like you know what I mean, get thrown in places.
If you're not going with and that's why I said the drug dealers, the rappers, and the drug dealers, the athletes or the celebrities, because those are the people who are coming here to show. They're coming to host this. They're coming to do a talk here. You boom. Listen, me and Tucci hung out with the drug dealers at All-Star Weekend in LA. It was worth the time. Listen, all we had to do was, I remember every night, it was like, yo, we gonna pay our way into the section for our shit, and we're going to chill. That was always the game plan. The game plan was, we're not about to need to be here, but here enough, and stick to the game plan. Because, listen, if I come in with the drug dealer who knows the shorty, and he gets a deal on the table, so now the table is 3 bands and not 4 bands.
We 3 lit.
And it's 4 or 5 of us. I hope niggas got some bread. Let's have a good night.
I hope niggas got some bread.
I mean, that's all you can do.
All you can do.
That's all you can do. But those are my little tips for All-Star and celebrity special weekends that are coming up. We got All-Star, Super Bowl. I don't know when Essence is, but it's in July, I think. What else is popping? Oh, Broccoli Fest. Broccoli Fest is May 9th.
Yeah.
Mother's Day weekend in the district.
Tell them what day that is before. Yeah.
May 8th?
No, boy. Ain't Mike's birthday.
My birthday's the day after.
May 10th.
That's what he said.
Oh, the day. Oh, yeah. It's my birthday, but
let them know.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm over birthdays.
What happened?
Yeah, birthdays are like just a reminder that you're gonna die soon. So.
Yikes. This is Winter Charles talking.
Had to get morbid on you guys. Season 4. You gotta love to see it. Talk to you guys later.
R.I.P. Mac Miller.
R.I.P. Mac Miller, Nipsey Hussle.
Build an empire, talking big business, trying to reach something higher. Look, riding through Glenarden, try to make it out. Ricey Road, liquor store, seeing what that lick about. Police trying to snake me out. Corruption in my city, getting gritty, man. This is what Farrakhan talk about. We learn truth from the noble Drew Ali. Talking Moors in the system, trying to find my peace. Peace signs, high left hand, 5 degrees. High power while it's blood on the leaves. Now real shit, bruh. It's the soul brother.